Rise and Shine Rwanda, it's Tuesday the 24th of March.
Coming up on today's Rise and Shine Rwanda.
A new development that's a stride in the right direction for new mothers.
We look into the business of print media in Rwanda.
And we profile a media personality that has become the king of the jungle.
Good morning, it's just after 7 o'clock in the morning and you're watching Rise and Shine Rwanda with me, Regis Isheja.
And me, Makeda Mahario. Over the next hour, we'll be bringing you all the latest news, sports, and lifestyle headlines from here in Rwanda and around the world. And the Rise and Shine team are here with us in studio, as always. Beautiful team, of course. What's going on in the world of business?
Well, in business today, I get to tell you about print media in Rwanda. So basically, they've been struggling for the longest time, and we get to find out why in business today. All
right, and Arnold, what about in the world of sports?
Lots of cricket. Final days of the Cricket World Cup. Rwanda itself winning an international cricket award. A lot of cricket news for today and tomorrow and the rest of the week.
Okay. Well, all that and more is still to come, but first, Rise and Shine story of the day.
During an extraordinary cabinet meeting this past Friday, chaired by His Excellency President Paul Kagame, the government gave green light to a draft law which, once passed by Parliament, will allow mothers to get 100% of their salary while on leave attending to their newborn babies. With the new law, the employer will pay half the salary while the fund covers the remaining half. Take a look.
Bigomba kugira iyo control niyo mpamvu ikigo kinari na statistics zigenda zigaragara kugira ngo nabyo bibe control.
The long-awaited maternity protection bill grants mothers a better package of their salary while on a 12 weeks leave. Working parents had been pressing the government to revise the previous law, under which mothers only received full salary during first half of maternity leave and were required in the second half to surrender 80% of salary or return to work.
Abakozi bishyura ntabwo ari abakozi bakorana n'umubyeyi gusa ni abakozi bose bari n'undi basanzwe batanga umusanzu wabo muri pension waba umugabo waba umugore buri wese ukora wizigamira muri pension w'umugore we ntabwo ari baba bikorana n'aba mubyeyi gusa ugiye mu kiruhuko byo gusimbura umuntu n'ubundi bwose bagiye mu kiruhuko n'ubundi byakorwaga uretse gusa ko byari binabangana kuko icyo kiruhuko kiremewe n'amezi 3 nta kindi gice cyahindutse kimwe n'abandi bantu bose bugiye mu kiruhuko icyo cyose institution iriyo bazira ku buryo hagira abasigarira bagasigara bakora byose babirika ariko mu buryo busanzwe so hano rero ntabwo ari amezi mashya yashyizweho icyashyizweho mu buryo byakorwaga aho wasangaga umubyeyi nubwo yemerewe gukora amezi 3 ariko n'ukwezi kumwe n'igice n'ibyo yemerewe kugira ngo yishyure umushahara wose.
Now, what does the everyday Rwandan think of the newly revised law?
Numva nk'umudamu bamuha nk'amezi 2 bitewe n'akazi akora. Ariko nkatwe tuba dukora aka kazi kavunanye ari igihe batakwemera kuguha konji.
Genda umuseribateri ariko icyo mbibona nuko abadamu bakwiye guhabwa umwanya munini cyane kurusha abagabo. Bityo bagahabwa ikiruhuko gihagije. Kuko n'ubundi baba bakoze akazi katoroshye kuba babyara.
Bamuha nk'amezi 3 akaruhuka indi ifite amezi 7 noneho muri amezi 7 akaruhukamo noneho yamara no kubyara bakamwongeza indi konje y'amezi 3 cyangwa 2.
Umudamu wenda yagombye kugira konje bitewe n'akazi akora ariko none batibagije ko n'umugabo nawe agomba kugira konje none se umudamu abyara wenyine n'umugabo yabyaye dore ko nawe harya bangayika ashakisha icyatunga umudamu n'umwana baba babyaye urumva yuko bagombye kujya banganya ikiruhuko.
Umugabo we ndumva nta konje bakamuhaye akenshi hari igihe aba afite nk'umuntu umufasha hafi nk'umukozi ariko nta mukozi umugabo wampa nk'igihe gitoya cyo kugira ngo nawe amwiteho.
Another step in the right direction for a country known worldwide for its gender equality. Regis Sheja, Rise and Shine Rwanda. And joining us in studio now is Matthew Gwahigi, a journalist, and our very own Arnold Kwizera. Good morning, guys. Good morning. All right, so Matthew, my first question is, what are the specifics of this revised law?
Regis, maybe going a little bit back before we look at the law itself. We had a maternity leave law, or maybe a labor law, if you wish, that determined how much time women can have when they give birth. So in the previous law, they were only given 1.5 months. That's paid maternity leave, and then the rest of the 1.5 months, which would make the 6 weeks, the 12 weeks, which are the 3 months that they normally get at the end of, when they give birth. The rest of the 1.5 months will be paid either 20% if you stay in the leave or you come back to work. So given a woman who has given birth 1.5 months of full salary payment was seen as too stringent and a little bit unfavorable to the mothers. So, and saying that if you want to stay in maternity leave, you will be paid 20%, also caused very many women to go back to work after 1.5 months, because you can't stay home getting 20% and yet the money you're getting is part of what sustains the family. So that's what led to the movement that has yielded the law that we have today. So the specifics of the law is that now women will be given 12 weeks, that is 3 months of maternity leave, full salary payment. And the arrangement is that this is going to be managed as an insurance scheme. It's going to be managed as, in fact, to be under the Social Security Board. So the employer will be contributing during the course. The employee will contribute, the employer will contribute, and the government will contribute to this process. Because the argument is that this woman, the child she's bearing, is not her own child. It's the child of the country, it's the child of everybody. Right. Yeah. Family is the foundation unit. So everybody will contribute, men will contribute, employers will contribute. And I think if I have the numbers right, they will be contributing 0.3%, each of them. The employer will contribute 0.3%, and the employee will contribute 0.3% of the basic salary. So at the end of the day, they are contributing 0.6% of the basic salary. So all the workforce in Rwanda will contribute to this scheme, such that when the woman now gives birth and has to go to maternity leave, she has 3 months of rest. So the employer will pay 100% for the 1.5 months that they have been paying in the past. They have always been paying 100% for 1.5 months. So the rest of the 1.5 months, that is the rest of the 6 weeks, they will be paid by the insurance. So RSSB will now be also coming in to pay the rest of the half of the maternity leave, making sure that now women have that whole period of 3 months to take care of the infant baby, and then at least after 3 months, now the baby can be able to be left in care of another person. So
tell me, I know it's been a long time coming and it's been a bit of a fight to get this to happen, but why is it now, Arnold or Matthew? Why do you think that that's happened right now? What do you think actually, made the shift happen?
I think there have been calls, surprisingly, for a country like Rwanda that has a majority of the Senate leaders and legislators as women. We've had one of the worst maternity leave policies in the world. When you compare them to other countries in the world, Canada has one year full maternity leave. The UK has 6 months maternity leave. Our members, the East African community members, have an average of 4 months maternity leave. So it was very surprising that female legislators could go on last year and pass a bill that's so unfavorable to
I think in contrast with us being like an example when it comes to gender equality, right?
Very, very. It was very contrasting. So many NGOs came and questioned this bill. So I think it caught the president's eye. That's why this extraordinary cabinet meeting was held, and it moved so quickly. Now it has to go to the Chamber of Deputies and sign into a law. I think the pressure from the people and NGOs and organizations and female work groups concerning the maternity leave, because it doesn't make sense. A mother can't have 1.5 months of bonding with their child, because I don't think if Makeda, if you were given 12 weeks and you're told your last 6 weeks, you're going to get only 20% of your salary. What if you're a single mother? Right. That wasn't put into perspective. 20% of your salary can hardly foot your bills. If you're paying rent, diapers, it wasn't fair at all to the mothers. Right. Yeah, and I think the parliament has felt the pressure from the female work groups. Mbuto has done tremendous work in trying to push for this bill to be revised, and I think there's still a lot of room for improvement towards this bill.
Now, Matthew, I attended the press conference yesterday at the Prime Minister's office where ministers were debating this. Now, the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Clever Gatete, had already talked about private versus state. How does it work for companies working in the private sector?
Maybe to get your point very right, you want to see how the private sector
affects the private sector.
Affects the private sector. I think this law and the way they are trying to structure the maternity leave procedures is kind of very favorable to the private sector, because if you see, I think, like Arnold said, this has been going on since 1967, when we first had the first labor law, right. And back then, they were given 3 months. That was the first push, and then after that, this was taken back, and they kept on changing things on and off. And I think before they brought in the 1.5 months, there was 3 months, paid for fully by the employer. So it was a little bit very heavy for the employer, because during that period you have to bring in a staff to replace this person, you have to keep on paying them, and then when they come back you have to make sure that you get them a position in equivalence with what they had before, or maybe you take them back to the same position. So it was a little bit confusing for the private sector, not very favorable. So now when you look at what we have, what they are bringing on board today as an insurance scheme, the private sector doesn't have anything to change. They will still be paying 1.5 months like they've been paying. So, and that was favorable for them. They were saying, okay, paying 1.5 months is not very much for us. Right. So they are going to continue paying 1.5 months. But now, the beauty about the law that I would appreciate as a journalist is that this child is not a responsibility of the mother. In the past, the pain and the burden of maternity leave was only left to the women.
Right.
So this time around, it's now a collective burden. You know, the man will contribute, so the whole workforce will contribute. Whoever has a job will contribute to making sure that this woman takes care of the child who will be the future of Rwanda tomorrow.
Well, the child who is also a citizen of the country.
Exactly. And then, but then, Regis, I'll also be frank here. I don't think 12 weeks is enough for the woman.
I don't think either, yes.
So, because like Arnold mentioned, you realize that the average, people at least have maybe between 14 and 18 weeks or something like that. A little bit extensive, because at 3 months, this baby is not
still very young.
She's far from being ready to be left to someone else to take care of them, because they're only given 1 hour when they get back to work to go back and take care of the kids.
Right.
So I think we still have a long way to go. We still need to put in a little bit more effort.
I want to pose this question to you and to Arnold.
I know where she's going.
Now, I just want to ask, I mean, and I don't know if I'm allowed to ask this or what people are going to think, but do you think that the father should be getting, you know, a decent paternity leave? Because it's not just one parent in a household, and a woman can't raise a baby by herself. And this time is also a time when a mother is supposed to be not only taking care of her kid, but bonding with her child and very important things like that, which a father should be doing as well. So do you think that the things should be revised in that area as well?
Arnold, who is not a father yet.
I leave that to Matthew. He is the father here. So,
can I really get your point when you say that you would love to see? You see,
I'm asking you.
No, very, very all right. I will take a little bit back to the discussions of this law before it it went to cabinet even. I think was it last month or the month before last month? The Minister Gatete, Minister Order of Prof, and the Labour Minister and RSSB, they hosted a public discussion about this particular law. And if you listen into the opinions that men were giving in when they called, because they were told you're going to have to also contribute to this maternity leave, you know, they're all saying, but where do I benefit from? It's a women thing. So anyway, getting back to your point, bringing up a child, like I said before, is a responsibility of the whole community. I think that's how Rwanda has been.
But it's mostly the responsibility of the mother and the father.
Yeah, exactly. You're very right. And if you look at the Vision 2020, the EDPRS, they all use family as the unit of development.
Absolutely.
It's where development starts from. A country is as strong as its families. So, but then I think the country also needs to continue being active, even when you give birth, even when this family has a child. You still have to have people working. So you're not going to have a community where when I give birth, me and my wife, we are all pulled out for 3 months to go back home and visit.
But you know, you can take that leave whenever you want to. So once she goes back to work, the father can take his paternity leave and take over from there.
But then I think
then
you're losing the essence of what you were looking for, bonding in the first few days of the child. So
bonding at all within the first.
Anyway, now I'll give you an experience.
The mother and the child, it's a very special bond.
I think I'll give you an experience because, like Arnold said, I mean, I'm already a father, so I know a little bit about this. I think it's not just about the daytime. You have all the time to bond with your child,
right.
if you're really interested in bonding with the child. So I think that the 4 days that men are given, because when the woman gives birth, immediately after giving birth, you need to take care of them. You take them home. You need to give them some time of resting.
Right.
Then after that, you can go back to work. Now, when you come back in the evening, or maybe when you come back, whenever you come back, you have time now to also carry the baby, talk with the baby, get to bond with the baby. But if you're going to pull out of work for a whole month because the mother gave birth, or you gave birth, I think it wouldn't be convenient for the economic part of it.
Well, I suppose this is a debate that we could have all day, but
this could be a hot topic.
We've run out of time. Thank you so much, Matthew, for coming to talk to us about
We'll see you a bit later in the
well,
show.
I have a feeling that we're going to see Matthew a bit later as well.
You're watching Rise and Shine Rwanda. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Connect to Lusaka 3 times a week starting 27th March. Enjoy comfort and safety at affordable fares to 17 other destinations across Africa and the Middle East.
Fly our dream to the heart of Africa.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Rwanda. Let's get to today's business news, or as I call it, the money. Fidel Karangwa has the details.
Business stories making headlines today. Rwanda has signed a code-share agreement with Profit Zambia on a Lusaka-Johannesburg route. The Rwanda General Manager in charge of commerce, Mr. Gobena Michael, said under this deal, Rwanda will operate as the main carrier on the routes, while Proflight Zambia will operate as the marketing carrier. The two airlines are also expected to conclude an interline electronic ticketing deal soon that will allow Rwanda customers to fly on Proflight planes with a single ticket. Rwanda's multi-million-dollar methane gas project has been delayed by disputes between a private investor, Kivu Watts Limited, and Kenya's subcontractor, Civicon Engineering. The pilot phase of the project was supposed to generate at least 25 megawatts of power, has been delayed by almost 3 years since the government awarded exclusive rights to Contour Global in 2009 to build a barge and install a methane extraction facility on Lake Kivu in Rwanda. The case is now ongoing, with Civicon Engineering seeking at least $70 million in damages for the termination of the contract. And the cost of sending text messages across borders will be cheaper for mobile phone subscribers in Kenya, Uganda, and Rwanda after the 3 countries agreed to remove tariff charges for short messaging services in a bid to fully implement the One Network Area protocol they adopted last year. The 3 partner states agreed that the wholesale price for SMSs within the region should not be more than 3 cents per SMS, inclusive of all applicable taxes, while the retail price should not exceed 6 cents per SMS. The drop in roaming charges is expected to stimulate growth in the telecommunications sector and promote cross-border trade. Now, advertising is a vital part for the growth of most companies. One of the main aspects of advertising is outdoor advertising and magazine spreads, a business that has been gaining momentum over the past few months. From telecommunication companies to small businesses, all invest a lot of money to advertise their companies to the community. Today we get to learn more about this flourishing business. Take a look. They're all around us in Kigali, giant billboards advertising all sorts of products. And not surprisingly, it's big business in Rwanda. But have you ever wondered how these giant billboards are made? This plant has for a while now been printing everything from billboards to posters to branding material, and new to the list is magazines. But making giant adverts isn't all plain sailing, as some people in Kigali would rather not have ads painted on every spare wall in one of Africa's most beautiful cities. Now, although there are very many magazines and newspapers available in the country, the cost of printing is still very high, leading most people to have their material printed in neighboring countries. With the fast growth of print media in Rwanda, it can only be hoped that more business people will explore this business venture to supply printed material in the country. Karangwa Fidelis, Horizon Shine Rwanda. And joining us in studio is Matthew Gwahigi from Hope Magazine. Welcome, Matthew, to our show.
Thank you so much.
So we're speaking earlier and you were telling me some of these challenges that you have to face every day when trying to print the magazine to have it ready for your readers. So just explain to our viewers also some of these things that you have to go through every single day when preparing the stories for them on your magazine.
Okay, I feel like I was earlier on telling you, when you look at the print world, print media is a little bit different from broadcast, this TV, radio, stuff like that. Because unlike in the broadcast world, in print you're investing all the time. Every time you have to bring out an edition, you have to invest in print, you have to invest in bring the magazines from wherever you printed them from. So it's more of capital intensive than broadcasts, if I could say, because not per se in terms of what you invest in the first place, or the initial capital, but the working capital, the day-to-day capital. So if you're going to print a magazine, for instance, I'll take, like you said, the instance of Hope Magazine. If you're going to print today, we are a monthly magazine. So every month you have to go to the print for the magazine. You have to invest the same amount like you invested last time, but that's not necessarily the issue. Every now and then, maybe today where you printed last month, you won't have the same cost as you had the previous month. So in the Rwanda case, like, we don't really have that much of printing facilities here. So most of the times you realize that many of the magazines have to go outside the country. They have to go to either to Nairobi, some of them even go to Dubai, because that's where they'll get the quality of the prints that they're really looking for. So all this channeled up into the process, and you look at the cost and the cumbersome procedure that you have to go through to get the magazine at the end of the day is quite a little bit very hectic, very hectic. And perhaps the other thing that you would also want to look at is the process of developing print stories. You see, while you can have very many people be able to do broadcast, you won't have the same thing in the print media, because you want people who already know what they're doing, who have the skills of writing, who have the talent of writing. So, and that's not very common here. That's why you realize that the print media has a lot of foreigners in it. You have very many people from elsewhere doing the media world here in print, because we don't have that much of the language. You don't have the good you're not good at the command of the English language, either the French language, even the Kinyarwanda language. You'll find very few people really are good at writing the stories in Kinyarwanda, and you'll have the same old faces all the time.
Exactly.
And at times even more costly than you'll have them in the broadcast world. Yeah.
So yeah, speaking of quality, it's not that we cannot get this quality in Rwanda. Is that the case, or is this psychology that most people believe that you cannot find good quality here in Rwanda? I mean, with other businesses that I've talked to already, most of them already know that these good quality things can be found here as well. But because of that mentality that everyone already has, that there's no good quality in Rwanda, exactly, that's why they find themselves having to import most of the things that they use. Is that the case also in print media, or is it just the fact that people are not exploring that opportunity to help increase the quality of the materials here in Rwanda?
I think if I really get your point, that at some extent people really think that quality is from elsewhere, not from within. People always want to look outside, not within. So, but then I think when you go back to the business aspect, normally the forces of the market are at play. You don't make decisions just because you focus very much on foreign things. Than in business, it's more about the factual, the statistical things. You're about making money. It's about making a profit. So you don't just make decisions on emotions. It's not like I just want to buy from out, I just want to print from out. No, it's about what makes sense business-wise. So in terms of the print industry, I don't want to look at the other sectors, because that will become a very big topic about local consumption and stuff like that. But then when you get back to the print world, I don't think we really have that much of printing facility in the country. I don't think we have really got to the extent where we have good quality printers here in Rwanda. I will give you an example, the likes of GPS when they were still operational, the likes of Select Kalaos. Okay, today they are really upping their game. They are trying to make things work. But then still you realize that the cost of a magazine here, if I'm to print it from here, and the cost of maybe printing it from Kampala or maybe from Dubai, if I have the transport covered, is much, much cheaper than it is here. So it doesn't make business sense printing from home, yet it's more expensive than elsewhere. So I don't think the mentality of going outside just for the sake is more about making business sense.
Also, there's this phenomenon going on that, you know, print media is dying out. I mean, with the internet going crazy. I mean, personally, I know for me, for my news, for everything that I do, most of the time I'm always checking for things online. So what do you think of that? Do you think that indeed in the next, let's say, 5 years maximum, we won't be able to find a magazine or a newspaper somewhere?
I won't give you the laugh I normally give to people who tell me print media is going to extinction. We are going to not have any more print copies on the street. I think that's a phobia that anyone gets when new media comes in. I am of the view that when radios started broadcasting, people were saying there won't be more need of newspapers. And that's a couple of very many years ago. But still, today we still have the papers. When TV came, that's the same thing. They're like, now, why do I have to listen to a voice when I can't see the pictures, when I can be able to hear the voice and the picture at the same time? But then still, we still have radios, and they are blossoming not only here in Rwanda, but even where people have really grown very much in terms of media. So I don't really think at any point that print media is going to extinct. I can tell you that, I mean, I can be sure
it's a safe business to be in right now.
100 years from today, there will still be a print copy on the street. Because media, unlike other products where you say we are revolutionizing, we are bringing something new, so we are kind of like topping on the old thing, so the old thing is fading out, and then we are bringing in a new phase. Media is about complementarity. When you bring in radio,
it goes hand in hand in some sort of way with all the other media.
So broadcast can't replace print, and even if you go online, there are people like me, you won't give a book.
You always read your magazine all the time.
I'll have to get a hard copy for me to read something.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Matthew, for coming to the show. We hope to have you again very soon.
Always a pleasure.
Well, you're up to date today's business headlines. Sports news coming up next in just a minute with Arnold Kwizera.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Rwanda. Time now for your sports news. I'm Arnold Kwizera. Starting with local cricket, the International Cricket Association, together with the African Cricket Association, has awarded Rwanda the 2014 Spirit of Africa Cricket Award. The award was handed over to Charles Harbour, the president of the Rwanda Cricket Association, during the African Cricket Association annual general meeting that was held in Johannesburg, South Africa. Rwanda was chosen over 20 other African cricket nations that submitted the applications to the ICC regional office in December last year. The panel that decided the winner was the SCA executive board members. This is the first time Rwanda has won this award. And at the same event, Namibia won the Best Overall Cricket Development Program, Mali won the Photo of the Year, Uganda won the Best Junior Participation Initiative, and the Best Women's Cricket Initiative. All the African regional winners will be forwarded to the Global Judging Panel for the ICC Global Award winning process. Staying with cricket, co-hosts New Zealand and opponent South Africa will seek to rewrite their own history when the two sides clash in the first match of the 2015 World Cup. With neither team having qualified for the final of the biggest prize in cricket, South Africa's Proteas will seek to throw away the Chokers tag against an informed New Zealand side at Eden Park. Playing in front of their home crowd, the Black Caps will seek to avenge defeat against the Proteas for Sunday's final in Adelaide. New Zealand are said to be without the services of bowler Adam Milner, who was replaced by Matt Henry after being ruled out with injury to his left heel. And finally, with tennis, Novak Djokovic successfully defended his BNP Paribas Open title at Indian Wells with a thrilling 6-3, 6-7, 5-7, 6-2 victory over Roger Federer. His fourth successive title in the desert helped the world #1 land his 50th career title and 21st Masters 1000 Series crown. In the 30th career meeting between the two greats of the game, the current Wimbledon and Australian Open champion made the early pressure pay on with his 5th break point in the 6th game. He then took firm grip of the opening set by holding immaculately to love in the next. Federer, who was seeking to secure a record 5th Indian Wells title, held successfully, but the Serb served it out to end the 30-year-old's 19-set winning streak since his Melbourne exit to Andreas Seppi. Joining me in studios is our cricket master pundit, Taga Dennis, back to give us a brief of today's early game between South Africa and New Zealand. Welcome back to Rise and Shine, Taga.
Thank you very much, Arnold.
Yeah, no,
it's good to be back.
It's good to be back.
Yeah.
More education for us.
Always. Too much.
Too much. Yeah. Let me just start by your weekend game that took place, the local cricket game. Your club. Take us through what happened in the VR Naidu T20 tournament.
Oh yes, earlier on there was a game that put us together. It put us together with VCC.
Yes.
Unfortunately, VCC, it was written all over the clouds. VCC was never going to put any challenge.
Question marks about VCC. VCC was supposed to be a developmental side, but people are calling it wasted talent. What's wrong with VCC?
VCC, well, it started so well. I can tell you, last year they were really an informed team, but along the way they lost leadership. Then a number of their players also migrated to other clubs. So then they lost a bit of that touch of the guidance.
Okay.
But they're still a team if they can get their act together.
Okay. Going to the Cricket World Cup, towards fortunately you are allowed to talk to us despite your West Indies not being able to play the ongoing match. But New Zealand versus South Africa, what's your take on this game?
Well, there is no better semi-final. This could easily pass as a final.
Australia, India will have something to say about that.
I know, but this could easily pass as a final. Match as Australia, India would also pass as a final. These are very two good semi-final matches up our sleeves. But I'll tell you now, my take, South Africa, I wish for them to be, because they've always been going for every tournament as favorites, but falling short. But this time, I think they...
But so many people are coming to talk about, the New Zealand top order, Brenda McCallum, Niam Williamson, then
Williamson,
Guptill, 237 in the previous game against your West Indies. Do you feel South Africa's bowlers will be up to task?
Oh, definitely. When you see what the opening bowlers have been doing in this tournament, even the best South African bowlers, I think will have their work cut out for them. Because it's all out there. They have to prove. Because these batsmen are now on top of their game. And South Africa has to bring their A game, their bowling attack, everything they have at these batsmen.
Now, there have been questions about, Philander is back. Yeah. He's fit once again for this. There have been questions to whether AB de Villiers should pick Philander ahead of Kyle Abbott or even drop Imran Tahir, who is South Africa's leading wicket taker in this tournament with 15 wickets. What would be your take on that? Who should be dropped, especially with the wicket at Eden Park?
Given the wicket at Eden Park, it really favors the pace bowlers. And much as Imran Khan, it's a very big, I'm sure even AB de Villiers must be scratching his head on this one. But again, given the fact that the surface favors the pace bowlers, I really think, well, Imran Tahir may be put aside for...
But did you just put your best bowler of the tournament out of it?
Well, that's the whole question. Much as you'd want to give the best bowler a chance, you also have to look at the other circumstances. Everyone is saying that the surface favors the pace. You'd also want to, maybe you could leave Imran Tahir, but again, you also want that extra strength of the pace. So maybe Abbott, it's a hard one, but for me, I think Philander would come in for probably Imran Tahir. Because they have spin, they have Dumini. Yeah. And you remember he took a hat-trick in the previous game.
True.
So he's also doing his job.
He is doing his job.
Yeah, he could, replace Imran Tahir for...
Now, people have been talking about New Zealand's weaknesses, which is their middle order.
Yeah.
talking, when we look at the weaknesses of the South African team, it has been in unusual territory, and that's in the wicket keeping. De Kock hasn't been, you know, or the form player coming into the tournament. He's the youngest player in the South African squad. Do you feel it's high time AB de Villiers took on the gloves and, you know, went back to wicket keeping for the Proteas?
Well, yeah, I think it's also going to be a hard one for him because the matches again. De Kock is also feeling the pressure. You know, you're behind all these greats in the South African team. And then, you know, you have a guy like de Villiers you're replacing in that behind those wickets. So it's a lot of ask on him. So anytime you make a mistake in this game, you see AB de Villiers looking at you and you're feeling all that pressure coming back. But for this particular game, I think he could be given a chance, you know, since it's going to be pace. He's actually been struggling mainly about this with spin coming through. But with pace, I'm sure they can risk him because AB de Villiers also on the outfield. He's exceptional. Yep. You'd also want him to be stopping.
You want him to be bowling
especially with those small fences that the grounds. You know, you'd want AB de Villiers to be there saving any boundary that they can. So I think they could give him a chance, you know. It's a do-or-die game for them, but still, I think he's not so bad that, you know, they could give him away, because you need de Villiers in the outfield as well.
Now we're moving on to the New Zealand squad. Milner and Henry, you know, the injury to Milner, I think people will call it a blessing in disguise for the New Zealand team. Many were calling for Henry's inclusion into the lineup before the World Cup, but now he gets his chance. Is it the right moment for Brendan McCullum to let him lead that bowling attack?
Yeah, I would tell you yes. But for one thing is, Henry, not so many people have seen him this World Cup. You know, so it's going to come as a whole different ball game for the batsmen of South Africa. He's a very good bowler, but now they've not had a chance to see him deliver his balls. And it's also a bit of an unfortunate event for Milner. He's really been he's been delivering the pace. Yep. Now imagine having them both in the same team. It would have been so much fun. But yeah, I think it's a good chance. It's a good blessing in disguise, I would say, for Brendan McCullum, the captain, to call on Henry, because he's also different. He brings a lot to the team. So I think it's a blessing in this case.
New Zealand have lost 6 times. This is their 7th attempt at the semi-final of a Cricket World Cup. South Africa having lost 3 times.
Yeah.
Final question. Who is going to the final in Adelaide?
Man, that is a good one. Personally, well, I'll go for New Zealand.
Your heart?
My heart is with South Africa, but
your brain tells you.
The brain and the form tells me New Zealand is the call.
Well, not so many will disagree with Taga. Thank you for coming back to the show.
Anytime,
yeah, New Zealand versus South Africa. The game is ongoing right now. Cricket World Cup 2015. Makeda and Regis will be right back with the latest news headlines.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Rwanda. Let's take a look now at news-making headlines here in Rwanda and around the world.
The Minister of Youth and ICT, the Honorable Jean-Philbert Nsengimana, has called on Rwandans to emphasize on resilience, describing areas that experienced the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Minister Nsengimana was speaking to members of the Association of Former Student and Student Survivors of the Genocide Abisesero village in Karongi district. He said the policy of divide and rule that led to the genocide was history and urged them to tell their own stories of resilience, national unity, and hope after devastation. The hilly village is known for its successful resistance to attacks during the genocide.
The European Union has extended a $25 million grant to go towards improving energy efficiency in the country. The project is expected to be implemented over a period of 3 years and will provide electricity infrastructure supplies and technical assistance to cover about 45% of Rwanda Energy Group's grid loss program. Officials said the efficient power supply will accelerate the socio-economic development of the country and contribute to the increased welfare of the people of Rwanda.
Free movement of persons within Africa was top of the agenda at the International Conference of Migration and Labor Mobility, which kicked off in Kigali yesterday. The 3-day event, under theme Intra-Regional Migration and Labor Mobility within Africa, is also aimed at providing alternative legal channels of migration and was put together by the African Union together with the International Organization for Migration, the Economic Commission for Africa, the Swiss government, and Rwanda. Officials urge participants to keep being advocates of labor and migration reforms across the continent.
And in international news, Singapore has begun 7 days of national mourning following the death of its founding father, Lee Kuan Yew. Mr. Lee, who was 91, led Singapore's transformation from a small port city to one of the wealthiest nations in the world. World leaders have paid tribute to Mr. Lee, who served as the city-state's prime minister for 31 years. The period of national mourning will be followed by a state funeral on Sunday, and his body is expected to lie at the country's parliament for 4 days. Okay, lots more still to come. Lifestyle is up next, plus we take a look at what's hot right now in our daily debate section, Hot Topics. We'll be right back.
Connect to Lusaka 3 times a week starting 27th March. Enjoy comfort and safety at affordable fares to 17 other destinations across Africa and the Middle East.
Fly our dream to the heart of Africa.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Rwanda Lifestyle Now. Makeda, what do you have for us?
I have a profile of a very, very, very popular media personality here in Rwanda. I call him The Voice. You'll see.
Okay. I cannot wait to see that.
Yesterday, I met with a man who, even if you think you're not familiar with, you probably are. His voice covers Rwanda's radio airwaves, having produced hundreds of advertisements and several radio shows. He has also been hosting some of the biggest events in the country since the early 90s. His vocals are easily some of the most recognizable to the masses here in the hills. But do you really know Lion Imanzi? Come with me as we meet the man behind the lion. Check it out.
Wow!
Having been at it for decades, Lion has really gotten a firm handle on the industry, having emceed some of the biggest events in the country, like Primus Guma Guma and Miss Rwanda. But where did he get his start?
It's a very strange story because I grew up not liking my voice at all. When my voice started to change as a young adolescent teenage boy, I didn't really like much. My voice was getting deeper, but people kept complimenting me, say, "Oh, you sound nice, you sound good, you should try radio." So I tried. I tried back in the 90s, and then it worked out for me. I did some commercials, the commercial side doing advertisement, and the emceeing side. Started in '93 when I did the Miss Rwanda '94, but it was in December of '93. The person who was supposed to advertise it couldn't be available, so they asked me to chip in, to step in, and then I did, and they liked it, so I never stopped ever since.
His passion for media is undeniable, but did you know that he's a musician first and foremost?
I do a great many things, but I'm an artist in a general sense. I started off in the 90s again as a musician. Then the tragic events that happened here in Rwanda, the genocide in '94, kind of put that to a halt. Then I find myself like a lot of Rwandese in exile. And I went more into a survival mode than anything. So when I came back to Rwanda, and that's now in the 2000s, so 2004 is when I came back, that's when the radios were starting up. Contact FM, for which I work, was starting in December of 2004, going forward. So listening to the different radios that were at that time, I figured that's something I want to do. So I went more into that. The more I did it, the more people would see me. And then I got more into advertising. And somehow the musical career took went at the back a little bit. And I always wanted, by the way, and still today, wanted to put it at the front because people who knew me before know that I'm a musician, but people who know me now, post '94, they don't know. Most of the people don't know. But with Guma Guma, that helped in popularizing me, is the one where people saw me singing for the first time. Like, oh, wait a minute, this guy can also sing? Yeah, so it all started there. But I've been in the studios, I've been busy, and I should come up with something real good real soon.
With a career like his, I had to ask him if he had any words for the young up-and-comers in the game.
I would say dare to dream big, and don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. I discovered slowly, as I told you earlier, I hated my voice growing up. Then people told me that it's nice, it sounds nice, especially on the phone. I was like, okay, maybe let me try that. So I tried it. I tried myself at emceeing, at advertising, because I refuse to limit myself. I simply refuse to limit myself. If I look at something, I feel if another human being can do it, then I can do it. So don't limit yourself, dare to dream big.
No doubt about it. With experience on deck and a lion's roar, we wouldn't be surprised to see industry domination from this media giant. Makeda Mahadio, Rise and Shine Rwanda.
Nice piece there, Makeda. I like
Thank you
that.
very much.
So he does reggae, right?
Yeah, he sings reggae.
So he does it professionally because he says I'm an artist first, so he's a professional artist.
Yeah, I mean, if you heard the music that was in the background, that's one of the songs that he's recorded, and I think he's trying now to get more into music. But a lot of people, if they know about the live music scene here in Rwanda, then you've seen them performing. He used to perform at Milcolin before the band that's there now quite a bit. And he performs at Primus Guma Guma every time. He's the one that's hosting every time. So he performs there a lot with his band. And a lot of times when there's concerts around town, and especially like on Bob Marley Day or different things like that, he's always performing and he's great.
Now, he works on radio as well. Has he told you that he maybe wants to, I don't know, touch television a little bit?
I think that he will be doing some television soon. Some people may have heard or may not have heard, but Contact FM, like other radio stations now, are starting to get a little bit into TV, and he's there at Contact, so I think he's going to do a little bit of TV soon, but he's seriously the voice. He's amazing on radio, and if you've heard any ad, more than likely it is him.
His voice is very distinctive too, but I mean, he's been doing it since '93.
Yeah.
That's like 22 years.
Yeah. And did you see that photo?
You will not believe it's him. I mean, he's very tough and, bearded, fully bearded, but that's pretty good. What is it like working with him at the same station?
It's really cool, actually. And it's not only just working at the radio together, because we've also done events together.
Right.
Like you saw, I just did the Miss Rwanda, the Miss Rwanda, competition. He was actually one of the MCs as well on that, and it was really funny to think that he was kind of MCing that event, and he MC'd the '94 Miss Rwanda. I mean,
unbelievable.
That's just crazy to me.
21 years apart.
Yeah, and he was telling me actually that he saw, I think, or heard from the Miss Rwanda that won that year, and she's still beautiful and she's still doing her thing. I was like, that's great. But yeah, it's really cool working with him. He's awesome and very professional. I mean, you hear all the ads that he does all of the time.
Right.
I mean, he produces all of those, and you just hear him all the time on his recorder just like doing. I think he does. I mean, I said hundreds before, but he was saying he wouldn't be surprised if it's thousands, because he's been doing it for for years.
Unbelievable.
So,
does he have an album out? Something people can purchase?
No, I think he's working on one now. Like I said, he's trying to get back into music, but I just find someone like him to be so inspiring because, he's a media personality. Everyone's heard his voice. A lot of people see him, I mean all over the country, because he does all of these road shows with Primus Guma Guma, and he's been doing it for years, and it's like one of the biggest events here. So everyone knows him as a media personality, but he's still sticking to the music that he loves to do, and it just shows that if you're doing one thing, it really doesn't stop you from doing something else that you want to do.
Right?
Yeah,
your passion
for sure.
should always count.
For sure, and he works so hard. He has a great work ethic. So, I mean, anyone who wants to follow in his footsteps, go ahead and do it.
Go ahead, absolutely. That was a great piece right there.
Thank you very much. Anyways, don't go anywhere. Hot Topics is up next. Welcome back, and it's that Hot Topics time again. As always, the Rise and Shine team have been out and about gathering everything you need to know about what's happening here and abroad, from what's trending on Twitter and Facebook to the debates in your local cafe or coffee shop. We've got it all for you right here, right now. Now let's get into the first hot topic. We were talking about this earlier in Story of the Day, and it got so hot that I thought that I would bring it back up in Hot Topics. So, as we know, there's a new law that kind of revises the maternity leave rules. You know, now women get their full salary for the 3 months maternity leave that they are allotted. But what do you guys think about paternity leave? Do you think that they deserve it? Do you think that it's something that's necessary or something that's important? Or do you think, you know, let them have the 4 days and go back to work? It's really not that important for them to be in their child's life. Anyway,
why me? Well, I do have something to say.
Speak on it.
Well, I feel like it's the same emotion. I mean, you've just become a dad. Obviously, one week is not even enough. 2 weeks at least, you know? They need to enjoy, for real, they need to enjoy that moment, you know, maximize when you change diapers a little bit. Just, you know, enjoy it. Honestly.
You know what, the two guys here, the two actual potential fathers or one day will be fathers, they don't want it. They want 2 weeks. They want to drive the wife home and go back to work and do their thing.
I need 12 years with, I need 2 weeks with my kid at least. 10 years from now. I need 2 kids.
At least.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah.
Will you be changing diapers?
I find that something that people don't take really, really seriously, even if a lot of people know about it, is the fact that a mother-child bond, nothing can replace that. And I mean, think about it.
The truth of the matter is, nothing can replace a father and a child's bond, but it doesn't happen as often because they're never there.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was good.
So no, for me, I'm all for it. Honestly, if when I have children,
inshallah,
I want the dad to be there the whole time, as much as he can. So 2 weeks for me is good. If that's 1 month, is good.
Or your
like I mean, it's just I mean, because for me growing up, as in my dad was there, and I cherish every single moment I used to spend with him. I want my kids to have the same experience. So right from birth.
Do you guys feel like children and moms have the same experience they have with their dads?
Well, no, because a lot of the times it's the mom who's taking the most care, right? But I think the thing about it is also that, you know, there should be somewhat a shift in that. But at the same time, not only so that the dad can bond with the baby, which is extremely important, but also because not everyone has helpers at home or whatever it is. Sometimes the mother needs help at home.
That's the part
and
I like the most.
These first 2 weeks are the craziest. I mean, you have no idea what you're doing most of the time.
And as we saw earlier,
the mother is exhausted.
Right, as we saw earlier when we were talking to the people on the street in the report, I mean, you could feel like some were saying, I don't feel like the dad should have a lot of days when it comes to the leave, but if the mom doesn't have house help, then the dad should be there because she needs that help.
Right. I mean, and it shouldn't. I don't think it should be only if there's no help at home. I think
be there. No excuses.
It's something. Seriously. It's an experience to share. 2 people make a baby. 2 people are the parents.
I really want to see Fidelis as a mom. Not way.
Yo, how many years Fidelis to motherhood?
Look at you. Why do you have to put people on the spot? Look at you. Anyways, we have another hot topic. So basically, this one is strange and just strange. So there is a Chinese restaurant in Kenya in an area called Kilimani, and they apparently have issued a policy that says no Africans are allowed after 5 p.m., after sundown, all right? Now, the reason for that is apparently because Africans pose a security threat to Chinese patrons.
Really?
Yeah. So what are y'all's thoughts on this madness?
The racism in Kenya is annoying. Yeah? It's disgraceful. It's unacceptable in an African country.
My thing is this, you guys went to the people's place and you're going to tell them that they can't come in here?
I don't even know how that works.
How is that legal?
Suzugura to the highest points.
First of all, you come to my country. Then you start your business. We leave you alone, no problem. And then you're telling me to come into your restaurant.
I have questions like, how long has this been going on? I mean, how long have
Kenya, it has been going on like a few years back. People had to boycott a diamond shop formerly Westgate. And this shop, it was an Israelite shop. and it couldn't sell to any black client. Like if you go there and you have your, even when you can afford the diamonds, they couldn't sell to you because you are black.
It's appetite like times 100.
And they accepted that in Kenya, you know, it's, yo, bring that
Why
stuff
is this
down
even
here.
like allowed?
Yo.
For me, I would say, you know, I would think that it would be illegal for them to even issue such a
It's illegal.
policy.
It's illegal.
So
That's why I'm asking, how long has it been going on? Because I mean, at some point, the state or there has to be some regulation somehow, somewhere.
Yeah, but that's not only in Kenya. Like in Uganda, there's been this boycott on over the social media handles of some 2 prominent bars that are very racist. Like from the bouncers, you know, letting in black people, the way they treat black clientele. It's you know, bars owned by black people being racist to black people.
Wait, what? I'm sorry. How does that work? So who do they allow into their club?
White expatriates.
That's it?
Yes.
Okay, I'm confused now.
That's just crazy. I feel like because we accept these things, we let them happen, and they happen for a while, and then people think it's okay. If they start and people say, no, you can't do this, awaken to it.
But you know how this starts? To me, this starts from very small scales, guys. Even when we go to our own restaurants here, it starts from small scales. Go have dinner with a white friend, yeah? Even when you're going to pay the bill. Yeah? No, when you're going to pay the bill, they will never give you that bill. How many times do they slide it to the white friend? It starts from that.
Question that's going to make you think. When you go out and you're with a white friend, how well are you going to get treated?
It's
it's totally different. It's
totally
a whole
different
experience.
Yeah.
It's totally different.
So we
we
underlook ourselves. It starts very small, and that's what grows into the whole racism issue. Because we're about 10 years from now, Rwanda may be facing the same problems because people face these exact problems. You go and line up in the supermarket.
I'm sorry, I got Cheeto. Please, let some Chinese people make a restaurant and say that no Rwandese are allowed after 5. That place would be shut down with the quickness. I don't see that happening in Rwanda, I'm sorry.
I think it starts
Rwanda's
small.
too small for it to happen here.
No, I think it starts small from the restaurant experiences. Because
have you guys done this?
No,
have you sat down at a restaurant or a
accept
bar and then see a black person enter, see how the service welcomes him, and then see a white patron enter and see how they're welcome. It's a totally different
Exactly.
I mean, I think it depends
on
where you go and you know, the situation, because I don't think this happens in every single restaurant, and I think a lot of times it has to do with a simple.
It's a complex.
And somewhat of an ignorance as well.
A lot of ignorance, not somewhat.
I mean, there's a lot of factors, you know, but I just don't see something like that happening here in Kigali. I just don't see how it could happen.
Not to that level.
No, absolutely
not to the Chinese restaurant level, but it still happens. Racism still happens.
Yeah, the way it's done here, it's hard to see unless you really pay attention.
Yes.
Like I was just saying, when you're sitting somewhere and then you see what's happening in the restaurant or in the bar. But I mean, hey, well, don't forget, we love to hear your thoughts, your comments, and feedback on what we're talking about here on Rise and Shine Rwanda. Tweet us at Rise and Shine RW. Like us on Facebook and send us your ideas for programs. Check out our Rise and Shine Rwanda YouTube page where you can catch all the shows and the reports we do. Find us on Instagram, Rise and Shine RW. Follow us, we'll follow you back. Or check out our Rise and Shine Rwanda website.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. We love to hear your feedback, so please, really do let us know if you have any ideas for the program. You've been watching Rise and Shine Rwanda with me, Makeda Mahadio.
And me, Regis Ishesha, will be here same time, same place tomorrow. Do join us then. But for now, from the both of us and these beautiful people here, have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.